Everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, we're going to be wrapping up our look at the newest wave of Captain America 6-inch Marvel Legends figures from Hasbro with the Build-A-Figure, the Captain America Civil War Giant Man Build-A-Figure for this wave. So just to recap, the 6 figures in this wave include Nick Fury, Civil War Captain America, Civil War Black Panther, Civil War Iron Man Mark 46, Red Guardian, and Nuke. So putting this one together is fairly simple. Once you've opened all the figures in the wave, you should have a torso piece, 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head. So basically we just want to take the torso piece and snap the legs in. And it's easy to match them up because you've got the red pieces that match up on the sides of the legs. And then we'll snap the arms in. So you've got one open hand on this figure and one closed-fisted hand on it, and then just pop the head on. Okay, so here's a look at the figure fully assembled. Now, it should be noted that I can't really say how accurate this is going to be to what he actually appears in the movie, assuming he does actually appear in the movie as Giant Man. We are technically making that assumption. Sometimes we do get toys of stuff that don't appear in the movies, but we haven't seen any images. He hasn't appeared in any of the trailers in giant form. So, again, I can't really comment on what he's going to look like or if, in fact, he's actually going to be in the movie in a giant form. The assumption, I believe, is that at some point during the movie, instead of shrinking, he will grow big. So yes, technically this figure is kind of a spoiler. Images of this figure, as well as the one that appears in the Lego set, have been out for months, so I don't think it's a huge surprise. But we have not seen the actual character in anything from the actual movie, so we're making assumptions at this point. I do think overall the figure looks good. I like the texturing on the costume. It gives it that kind of leather type look that like we see in the movies. It should be noted that the costume definitely seems to be different from a bit from what he wore in the Ant-Man movie. Less silver. The belt is definitely different. Looks like the belt has been more streamlined. The helmet is a bit different. I like the helmet. Some of you I've seen comment and say the helmet looks a little too big for you, and I guess I could see how that argument could be made, but again, we don't really know how it looks in the movie, and I don't think it looks too bad. I definitely like the eyes. I like that you can see the eyes through the lenses on the helmet. I think that's cool. I like the wash effect on the helmet. It does look like maybe a little bit of marbleization going on, but I think it works for the helmet. You've got some little blue markings here on the sides for like his oxygen piece, and then I like how the ears are sculpted off to the side. As I mentioned, I like the texturing. You've got the belt, which basically just goes around the back and on the sides. It doesn't seem to cover the front. Again, it seems like it's more streamlined than what we saw in the Ant-Man movie. And then again, I just like the texturing of the actual costume with the black and the red and everything. This figure stands at about 10 inches, 10 1/4 inches tall if you count to the tip of his ears. So here's a comparison with several of the Ant-Man movie figures Hasbro's done. So we've got the Build-A-Figure, the 6-inch version of Ant-Man, the 3 1/4 inch version, and then this little version that they did. Here's a comparison with some other recent Hasbro Build-A-Figures, the Hulkbuster figure, and Ant-Man is a bit taller than Hulkbuster, then the Groot figure, Ant-Man's taller than Groot, and the Red Onslaught, and again Ant-Man is taller. Finally, here's a comparison with 2 other Marvel Legend Giant Man figures. So this one here is the old Toy Biz Giant Man, and it remains the tallest of the bunch, and then this one is the Marvel Now Giant Man, released last year as a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, and it's a bit taller as well. So out of these 3 figures, the new Civil War Giant Man is the shortest of the group. Now you might be saying, man, that's a short Build-A-Figure, but as you saw, it was still bigger than other more recent Build-A-Figures, and how accurate the size is hard to say because again, we don't really know how big he actually grows in the movie. Articulation on this figure is pretty good and pretty standard. Head's on a ball hinge joint so he can look left and he can look right. He has a little bit of down movement and he can look up a little bit, but not a whole lot. Arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joint so he can get his arm out good. He's got good rotation. He's got a bicep swivel. He's got a double hinged elbow so he can bend his elbow about that much. He's got swivels at the wrist. He's got up and down movement with the hands. He's got a midsection ab crunch, but he can't really crunch down that much. That is about as down as he can crunch. He can look back a little bit more. He's got a waist swivel. Legs are attached with ball joints, so he can do the splits good. He can get his leg forward good and can't really do his leg back too much. He does have a thigh swivel. He's got a double jointed knee, so good bending at the knee. And he's got up and down movement with the feet, and he does have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I like the figure. I think it looks pretty good. Again, I can't really say how accurate it is to the movie, but for the most part, I think it looks nice. I like the texturing on the costume. I like the helmet. I don't really think the helmet looks that big. I know, again, some of you have said it looks too big, but I don't really think that's a problem. And I definitely like how like the lenses look with the eyes and everything. So, and as far as the figure size, again, it's hard to say how accurate it is. It, you know, compared to like, especially like the Toy Biz Giant Man, it's definitely on the smaller side, but compared to more recent Build-A-Figures, it's pretty decent size. And if you think it's too small for your 6-inch figures, it should definitely fit in nicely with your 3¼ inch figures if you collect those. So we'll have a full gallery of images up at marvelousnews.com. As I've said before, the wave with this figure is not yet out in the United States. It should probably be out by the end of this month or early next month. It is out overseas in places like the Philippines, which is where I picked up my set. And as always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you later.